Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here from Miss Carrie's Creations. Today I'm going to be sharing some winter memories and show you a really simple way to use Crackle Mousse on a layout. I'm going to be using the Keepin Cozy Kit from Not Just for Boys Kit Club. In this bundle there are some awesome wintry patterns from Photo Play and Echo Park that have been paired with some cardstock. You also receive the navy thicker letters, acetate film strips, winter ephemera, and wood pieces. I often forget to share the packaging of these items. These are designed to be used on your projects, not thrown in the trash like most packaging items. I love how they do that. The Keepin Cozy Kit does have an optional essentials kit that includes some crackle mousse, shimmer spray, ephemera frames, and a shimmer pin. I'll be using a few of these as well, and some items from my own collection. You'll be able to find a list of everything I'm using today in the description below. I've selected a darker blue cardstock for the background. This is from another kit that I had left over, and it matches perfectly with the patterns in this collection. I know that the photo is going to go off to the right side of the page with some paper strips, and I want to create a bit of a white frame around the area where the photo is going to sit. I want to do this with Crackle Mousse. Now, I don't want to create a thick layer of paste, so I'm just using a dry brush to apply this to the paper. This rough brush is a really inexpensive one that I use to apply gesso and gel medium to my projects. As I add the mousse, there's going to be some great texture with the brush. The thinner layer is going to allow some of the blue from the cardstock to show through. Now, if you want to create a thick layer of crackle mousse, it will crackle as it dries. It's a beautiful effect on your projects. Once the crackle mousse had dried, I wanted to add a little bit of shimmer. So I splattered a little bit of the shimmer's spritz here and there. Now this is very subtle, but as it dries, there's going to be a soft blue tint on that white paste. This photo was taken in the mountains in the fall, right as it was beginning to snow. There are some lovely colors of changing leaves in the background, which are going to be brought out by the patterns and colors in this kit. I'm going to frame the photo with some tags. These were cut using dies, and I cut them out from cardstock and pattern paper in the kit. I'm going to layer some pattern paper strips and a film strip behind the photo. I find that horizontal photos tend to stand out more with vertical elements framing them. Before I tack everything down, I do want to add some stitching to my page. I'm going to create some random circle shapes around the elements, so I'm going to roughly draft the shapes with a pencil first. After running this through my sewing machine, this is what it looks like. It's a bit messy and random, but once the papers are in place, it's going to create a fun little circular frame around the photos. I also added some stitching on the tag that's going to hold the photo. This helps to create another frame and puts the focus on that item. Of course, it took me the longest time to get all those vertical pieces straight. I used a T-ruler to help with this, but I had to fuss with everything until it was perfectly aligned. I chose one of the acetate film strips, a lighter blue pattern, and some of that soft green color. I like having that addition of green on this page because it matches the trees in the background. The acetate film strips come in a few colors, sizes, and shapes. I chose a solid one, but there's also a handful of them in the package that have cutouts just like a film strip. I started to add the photo to the page, and then I felt like it needed another layer behind it. I selected a piece of ephemera that I had left over from a Christmas kit, and it worked perfectly. I did have to cut it into two pieces so that it looked like it was the full width of the photo, and then I adhered the items in place. Above and below the photo, I added two more little flag strips. One was created from a flag in the ephemera pack and the other from some patterned paper. I just cut that little flag in half so that it looks like it is the same width as the photo. Adding these two little flags helped create more of a frame around the photo and brought in more colors and textures from the trees in the background. Off to the left, I'm going to add a large snowflake. I used a die to cut out 3 of these from cardstock, and then I layered them together so that I had a thicker element with a little bit more structure for this page. Now that all the large elements are on my page, it's time to work on the title and add smaller items. Since there are some circle shapes in the background and near the snowflake, I'm going to use this circle die cut with the phrase "Cuddle weather" for my title over here on the right. I'm going to add another circle at the base of the page and another at the top. The next step is to bring in a few more wood pieces. I need to add an odd number of them, so I'm going to add 1 near the title. Now I want to match the theme of the title and bring in a little bit more plaid. So I'm going to use this little heart at the base of the page, and I'm going to layer it over that snowflake circle. To dress up that large snowflake, I'm going to layer 2 tags and a snowflake circle in the center. One of these tags is going to bring in some more wood grain pattern to the page, and the other is going to bring in some light blue from the pattern paper strip in the background. Over the top of the snowflake, I wanted to use this phrase that says "best memories," but the die cut itself was a little bit too big. So I just cut out the phrase from the larger die cut, and I made it small enough to fit the space. While I attach these elements down, I would love it if you hit that subscribe button and notification icon. This year I have some awesome projects planned for you and some more Cricut tutorials. I didn't feel like the title was complete, and it needed a little something more substantial to stand out. I decided to cut a piece of a banner from the ephemera pack that said "Snow Much Fun." I trimmed it down and placed that dark blue sentiment onto the circle, and it gave it just what it needed. As I was finishing up, I decided that the wood circle at the top was really out of place. Thank goodness I hadn't glued it down yet. I removed it and chose to tuck another snowflake off to the right to bring more of that color to the page and finish off the visual triangle of wood elements. I'm going to add a few more embellishments, and then I'll share this completed layout with you. Off camera, I added some more stitching. This was done by hand because I have multiple layers of paper, adhesive, and acetate here, and I did not want to ruin my sewing machine. I added some stitching along the lighter blue strip and a zigzag above the photo. I also finished off the circle stitching with an arrow. This ended abruptly because I didn't plan out my stitching very well, and that little arrow gives a nice finish and helps lead your eye to other areas of the page. Of course, I did add some ribbon to the tag. I just love adding tags to pages because they allow me to bring in some texture with ribbon or twine. And then I finished off this page with some pale blue enamel dots. I truly love how this page turned out with the crackle mousse in the background and all those layers of paper and die cuts. I'm going to share a few close-ups of this layout so that you can see it in a little bit more detail. This page was a fun one to make with a tag frame, crackle mousse, and bits of winter ephemera. I like mixing paper with textures of wood, stitching, and shimmer on my pages, and this page has it all. If you're one who enjoys pinning photos to inspiration boards, I have added still shots of this layout on the Not Just for Boys Kit Club blog and on my website for you to use. If you would like more ideas for using this kit, you can join the Not Just for Boys Club Kit community on Facebook and see even more designs. I want to thank you for joining me for another scrapbook project. If you have any questions about this design or the supplies listed in the description below, feel free to post that in the comments. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.